friends, quick lure swap out. We'll try this, either your Zuri 3D crystal minnow that I haven't caught one on it yet, so we'll put it on here in replace of the Magneto.
Hey guys, it's Brody back again. I just wanted to kick off this video by saying thank you for all your support. We're currently sitting at 57 subscribers. Ever since we started the Fall Run series about 2.5 weeks ago, we've gained 27 subscribers in our first 2 videos that we posted online. So this is really motivating to me. I'm getting better at editing the video content that I am posting, and your guys' continued support is allowing me to push myself and try to make each video better than the last in more unique ways. So I'm pretty stoked to continue this journey, and I hope you guys are enjoying my fishing content because I'm very passionate about fishing.
Oh. Woo! That was a big splash. Holy, you're getting me wet, my son.
So if you guys haven't checked out episode 2 part 1, and if you're interested, please go check it out. I'll leave a link here. We were hooking up with striped bass in pretty much every direction this morning for about 2 hours straight. I couldn't get off the schools. We were hooking them on specifically the 3.5 inches or 3D crystal minnow deep divers because a lot of them were hanging fairly deep for the most part. Anyway, during this time, I wanted to share some wealth, so I called my dad and my brother and see if they wanted to come out and join me on this little fishing frenzy that I had going on. They did decide to join me, so once they actually arrived on the water, I was about 15 or 16 striped bass deep at this point, and I hooked up with 3 more afterwards. I noticed that they were trolling sand eels for about 30 minutes prior to me actually meeting up with them, and they hooked up with 0. So I ended up giving them a couple of my 5¼ inch Zuri crystal minnows, and they ended up hooking up with 1 in the next hour and a half. Fishing, unfortunately, did shut off once they got out there because the tides were pretty strong at this point. So it was all just bad timing in the end, and I did notice that their trolling setup wasn't completely on par to where I would have liked to see it. They ended up leaving just over 2 hours later after fishing with only 1 hookup with a striper. They were discouraged, and that left me discouraged, but it also left me inspired. So for the next episode 3 on the Fall Run series, I'm going to go over what I think are the 5 fundamentals of trolling for striped bass successfully.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they'll be back. Still have another 4 hours to go.
As for this episode, guys, we're going to go over what I think are the 8 pros and 8 cons of kayak fishing. I hope you guys enjoy it.
There we go, that's... Ooh, big fish!
Let's start with cons first. So con number 1 is you are a small watercraft, which means your depth of fishing could be limited. This may not stop everybody, but in general, for safety reasons, if you're fishing over 100 feet of water and you're trying to hook up with something on the bottom and you end up hooking up with an oversized fish where a lot of them tend to be in deep water, then you could potentially flip your kayak and get yourself into trouble. Number 2 is you are a small watercraft again, and there's a lot of big boats and big ships that go through these areas of the water, and if you're not seen and you don't have the proper gear, then you could potentially get yourself into trouble and get clobbered by one of these vessels. Number 3 is if the weather ended up turning ugly on you and you still had a 3-hour pedal back to land, you could get yourself into trouble as well. So I generally don't recommend fishing in deep water. Stay anywhere between 30 feet and shallower. Con number 2 is weather inhibition. You're a small watercraft, which means you're limited to the amount of fishing that you can do in certain types of weather. I generally don't go out at all unless it's under 20 knots, and it really ultimately depends on the body of water and the direction of the wind. If it's not looking good for you, don't go out. If you are going to go out, please have all the safety gear and don't get yourself into trouble. Con number 3 is kayak fishing requires you to be fit. It does take some lifting and stamina when you're doing this type of fishing. If you're like me and you load your kayak on the roof and take it off, that expends a lot of extra energy before fishing even begins. And then once you get on the water, you have to have stamina in the pedal or paddle department. You're going to need proper hydration and proper food/fuel. So I recommend hydrate well, fuel well, and if you can, get a trailer for your kayak. It will save you a lot of extra work and a lot of extra energy. Con number 4 is kayak fishing can be uncomfortable. A lot of people may not be able to take the claustrophobic feeling of being very limited in what they can do versus, let's say, in a boat where they can actually move around. But in a kayak, you're pretty limited to only standing and sitting. If you did move around side to side, you're at potential to flip your kayak. And on the other hand, for comfortability reasons, a lot of factory seats that come with these kayaks are not super comfortable after sitting in them for 8 to 10 hours on end per day. So get yourself a nice foam padding for your seat so you have some extra comfortability for the rear. And if you can get yourself some seat risers, depending on how the seat lies in the kayak, that can actually help with lower back pain. Con number 5 is kayak fishing can be costly short term. The upfront cost to purchase a fishing kayak isn't going to be near as bad as purchasing an actual boat, but where your expenses are going to come in is depending on how many upgrades you put into your kayak. If you want to modify the hell out of it, you go right for it. It really depends
Okay guys, found them. They're back.
on your goal, but this is where your expenses are going to come in. I've seen a lot of kayaks out there rigged with multiple fish finders, multiple batteries, light systems, coolers, rod holders, fish storage, motors even on the kayak, and all the little accessories and attachments. They all add up pretty quick, so this is where you're going to spend some money.
Oh, there we go. Oh, 5 1/4 inch. Here we go.
Con number 6 is you have limited water coverage. Whether you're pedaling or paddling, it will take you some time to get to your fishing destinations. So a lot of guys will actually mount trolling motors and little tiny outboard motors to their kayak in order to solve that problem, because obviously if you're comparing it to a boat, you're not going to get to where you want to be in a short amount of time. It's going to take some time. So I recommend leaving for your fishing trips early and making sure you have some time on the end of your fishing trip to get back to where you're going. Also, if you're using, let's say, 2D sonar, I recommend upgrading to a side scan technology. That way you can cover more water area and find more fish, because you're not going to be able to move like a boat can, like I said. Con number 7 is strong tides and currents can affect your movement on the water. In a kayak, you are limited obviously either to your paddles or pedals, depending on what you choose. So in these situations where you're fishing, let's say, a ledge on a channel, or you're actually in the channel and you can't pedal against it and you're not getting anywhere, this is where you might want to consider buying a trolling motor or an actual little tiny motor to help you at those times when you're going against the tide and current. And con number 8 is kayaks can only hold so much fishing gear. Don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of crazy kayak fishermen out there have their kayaks rigged and have all the fishing gear that they possibly can per trip. It still amazes me till this day. But in my general opinion, go with as less gear that you possibly can. Just take what your priorities are for your trips out. And ultimately, you just don't want to get yourself into trouble and lose thousands of dollars worth of gear out there if you accidentally flip your kayak.
Found them. There we go. 3.5 inch. Oh, moly.
Alright, on to pros. So at number 1, I have it is a good workout. Whether you're paddling or pedaling, it will provide you with a tremendous upper and lower body workout. But if you have the money, definitely get a pedal-driven system where you can fish hands-free and just use your legs. It will give you a great cardiovascular workout all day long. You will burn probably 3,000 calories or more depending on how much time you put on the water. So make sure you fuel well and hydrate well.
Oh, my double up came off. Thank you.
Pro number 2 is I think kayak fishing is stealthy and quiet. So I had some experiences during the fall run where I was trolling over some area and I hooked up with a few fish. Then a few boats came over and they had some outboards and they were trolling over the same grounds. All the fish decided to scatter, but I actually hooked up with one fish whenever they were there. Anyway, the fish shut right off. They left and I left. I came back 30 minutes later, started to troll again, and then they were there. I got like 5 or 6 more. So I do believe having a pedal-driven system or a paddle-driven system or even a trolling motor on your kayak, it won't spook the fish. Pro number 3 is kayak fishing allows you to get into those hard-to-reach areas to catch your fish. Personally, I only fish in the ocean and the river, but I know a lot of kayak fishermen fish in these really hard to reach areas where the water is either shallow or there's a lot of debris sticking up out of the water or there's a lot of brush around, and a lot of boats may not be able to reach these areas. So I believe kayak fishing really takes the helm in this department. Pro number 4 is more financial gain long term. There's going to be a small upfront cost, obviously, compared to a boat when you purchase your fishing kayak, depending if you're going to go secondhand or brand new or where you're at in the world. If you're looking for a decent kayak that's pedal driven, hands free, which I recommend, you're probably going to look at paying $3,000 on average. But it really depends on how many upgrades you put into it afterwards, which is going to dictate how much actual financial gain that you have. But if you are looking to get into it, do your research, see what kayak is best for you, and go from there.
This is so amazing. Look at them go.
Pro number 5 is fishing kayaks are low maintenance, but there are still a few things that you should do each year when you're using it to maintain it the best you can, and here's my 4. So number 1, get yourself an anti-rust, anti-corrosive spray, something that you can spray your nuts and bolts or any vulnerable areas from corroding, especially if you're fishing in salt water like myself. Number 2 is get yourself a sun protectant spray for the plastic body of your kayak. I recommend using 303 Marine. It's highly recommended by all the fishing kayak community out there. It leaves a nice shine and a good protective coating from those hot sunny days. Number 3, spray your kayak with fresh water after every use. And number 4, if you're going to store your kayak outside, get yourself a good high quality cover, and I recommend checking out the Sundura covers. Go check them out in Google. Pro number 6 is you can launch your fishing kayak almost anywhere, whether you're hauling it on a jet ski trailer, a kayak trailer, on the roof of your vehicle, or you're hauling it by hand on a trolley cart. You can pretty much go anywhere you want, whether it's deep or shallow. You're not really limited to the amount of places that you can launch your kayak in. Pro number 7 is most fishing kayaks now come preloaded or pre-built with areas to apply your fishing modifications and upgrades. Now mine specifically, I have side rails that have my rod holders mounted. I have my fish finder mounted on my side rail. I have 2 mounts up near my dry storage where I'm going to put 2 spotlights and put all my wiring and batteries in my dry storage underneath. I also have my transducer mounted underneath, and that is a pre-built area to hold transducers. And then you look out and there's some actual kayaks where you can buy them straight out upgraded, like this one here, the Titan X Propel. It's just amazing what they're coming out with nowadays as kayak fishing seems to be getting more and more popular.
Look at that, guys. Wow. Big school. Double up coming. Double up incoming. Just crazy. We're gonna get smashed here. There it is. Oh, wow. Okay. Easy. Oh, there's a double. Oh my gosh.
And last but not least, pro number 8 is kayak fishing is more environmentally friendly. There's no gasoline involved for fuel, there's no oil involved that could potentially spill into the water, and there's no emissions being produced into the air. Kayak fishing allows the fishing ecosystem to be healthy and thriving for future generations to come. So that's a wrap for me, guys. I hope you guys can get too bored listening to me talk, but I really hope that these pros and cons help you guys decide whether kayak fishing is right for you and if it fits your lifestyle. I would recommend trying it at least once in your life. If you have a buddy even or a friend that is into it, at least give it a try. You may surprise yourself. It is one of the most immersive, exciting, empowering ways to catch fish. Trust me, it's a game changer. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you on episode 3. Take care.
Oh, guys, I don't know about this, but this is a big friggin' bass. Holy jumpins. This one's fighting so hard. Oh my goodness, that's a big bass. Holy jumpins. There's a big guy. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. There's a big fatty right there, guys. That's a fall run striper. Holy jumpins. Beautiful fish. Not my biggest, but a beautiful fish.